Hi,
Hey, Queen.
Jackie. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Good to see you.
Good to see you always. So we got a lot of feedback and we didn't touch on everything we wanted to touch on in our last video. So we decided to do an addiction part 2 video. We didn't talk about a lot of the struggles families go through and, all of that, and share some of the feedback that we got. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
And this is going to be the last week we had an episode on addiction. That's what it was about. And so we got a lot of feedback. And again, even ourselves, we hadn't even talked about everything that we had planned to talk about even originally, much less.
That's what we said. We missed so many things that we had wanted to discuss. So we thought this would be a good video to do.
Yeah, expand.
And we will put the phone number to the helpline in the description again. I don't have it on me. I forgot to even. But it will be in the description, and it is in the description in our last video too.
Actually, I've been I believe I've had it in all of them.
Oh, perfect.
I think that if not, that was my intention. I think I put it in all of them just because it can't hurt, right?
No, right. So I wanted to touch on how families can be affected too by addiction. I had looked up a few things, and do you want me just to go ahead and read it?
Mm-hmm.
Peaceful, loving homes can be divided by the strain caused by drug and alcohol abuse. It can make a once safe household stressful and hostile, interrupt the family dynamic, and affect the physical and mental health of everyone in it. Now, I did find there is a group, and it's called Nar Anon, and it's a 12-step program for family and friends of addicts. And it used to be like an AA group where you go to the group, but they actually offer virtual group meetings too now, which is great. So I did want to share that. You can call the 800 number and they'll help you find either a place to go to in your area or explain to you how to join the virtual online groups. The number is 1-800-477-6291. So I did want to share that. And then do you want me just to go into sharing some of the feedback, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
So I think we did get some feedback from people, and I wanted to share a few of the things that they wrote. So this one says, when my mom got knee surgery, the pain was so bad, they kept upping her pain medication. By the time she was done, she continued to get them for this or for that. And when she stopped getting them prescribed, she started having my boyfriend buy them on the streets. This was about 20 years ago when you could buy them for only $2 or $3 a pill. It continued until my boyfriend almost got robbed. We were young and didn't realize the seriousness of her addiction. My aunt finally stepped in, had my mom go to rehab, and she's never used anything since. So that kind of touches on what Jackie was talking about in our last video last week about, you can have the best intentions and just go in for surgery and sadly get addicted to something that is supposed to help you.
Right.
So that story kind of.
In that situation, that turned out very well. in the end, it did. Because it doesn't always turn out that way, you know. Obviously, as we know. And I had the same, you know, a lot of people from my Jackie Snotty channel know that my sister was addicted to methamphetamine for 34 years. And I do remember hoping she would go to jail because I didn't see any other way out of it. I didn't, she was either going to go to jail or she was going to die. And I thought that was the only thing that would ever stop it. And it does, it has you, you know, she had been, you know, one of my best friends. And then I just couldn't even stand to be around her. It was always some kind of crap going on. You know, this always comes along with all kinds of shady, whatever, you know, stuff is just, and you just get tired of it, you know? And you don't want to be part of it and you're tired of it. And you are terrified they're going to die. That's what you think, that they're just going to die. Besides, they've ruined their life, basically. They're not even going to have one, right? I'm very, very, thank God she actually did. And she has shared it. I wouldn't tell her business.
Yeah.
She has shared it on my other channel. And, you know, she was going to lose her son. You know, the state took her son. And that was it. That's what Clean got it. So thank God for that. But yes, that families do go through a lot. And their idea is they just get mad because you don't want to, you know, whatever kind of stuff is going on. They're mad at their family and their families hate them. And they don't understand how much their family loves them. Right. And just wants that to stop. You know, they just want it to stop. And they're concerned about them. And whenever you're involved in any illegal activity, you're involved in things that you don't know what you're going to have yourself in on, you know, who you're dealing with. You know, that kind of stuff is scary, you know.
No, it is.
You may end up in a situation you're not aware of, you're not prepared for, and it's not good, you know. But there's so much to it, so many angles of what happens with that. And of course, what that means is that you're going to lie about everything. You can't tell the truth. So then you just become a lie. Nobody can believe a word you say. That's another thing that I think is really bad in that. No matter what you tell me, it might be true, but I can't. How can you believe anything they say? Right. No, so, I mean, there's just a lot.
And I was going to share too with my ex-husband. We were very young when we met, and he was a hard worker and he was a great guy. And then slowly he started changing, and he actually had a really good job. We had kids, and he got hurt at work, and they send you to their clinic, you know, the clinic that they send you to, and they drug tested him, and he came up dirty. And he swore to me, and he lost his job, and everything went downhill after that. But he swore to me he wasn't using, and I had never seen him use, so I just believed him. Well, then he changed over time, and he became abusive to me. Then when he became abusive to my son, I left. And over the years, he just spiraled. And every relationship he got into, he was abusive, even worse, in and out of jail for domestic violence with every single girl after. And it just seemed to get worse. And then a few years ago, I found out from somebody close to him that I'm close to that he was using. And he was using pretty hard drugs. It started off actually as pills and went on to cocaine and probably anything else he could get his hands on. And he was actually looking at 5 years for this last domestic violence to his last girlfriend. And I remember telling my kids had nothing to do with them because, you know, they're adults and they just didn't want anything to do with them at that point. But I remember telling my kids that I prayed that he would get the 5 years, because at least he could clean up his act, get clean, and maybe he would come out a different person. Unfortunately, he lost his battle to that this year or last year, a few months ago, and he passed away by himself in his apartment because nobody wanted anything to do with him because he had become so vile and ugly from the drugs and alcohol. And sadly, he didn't show up for court for his domestic violence. And he had a warrant out, and the police came there to serve the warrant. And that's how they found him. Nobody even knew. So, this once really great guy just changed. And sadly, drugs will do that.
No, it does. It changes your life. It ruins your life, and hopefully doesn't end it. But yes,
Right.
It does. It causes all these problems with your relationships. It causes, and I know for me, I think my sister was clean, I think like 7 years before I believed that it was real and that it was going to stick. And now it's so nice to be able to have her in my life again. I mean, there's certain things, your sister and
Yes.
you have the same sense of humor, all these different things. And, you lose all that. And I'm so thankful that she now is, clean. We can have a relationship. She can be a granny to her grandkids.
And she's such a good granny to her
She's
grandkids.
an awesome granny. And had she not got clean, then that wouldn't be a thing for her. It wouldn't happen. And can you imagine missing out on that? That's like the joy of her life now. And I'm so thankful for that. But people do, it is a really big problem, and it doesn't end that well for everybody. I know.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It affects the people around you too. And that's what I wanted to bring up too, is with my kids, even though I ended up finding a wonderful man who raised my kids as his own, they still grew up with that, especially my daughter, with the not understanding why her dad didn't love her enough to change, to want to be in her life. And, and my kids had to, that's a horrible feeling for kids,
Yeah.
They don't understand. And that's where I wanted to touch on, like, it really affects the people around them, not just them.
Right. No, it's a really big factor.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it has people doing things that they probably would not normally do. I mean, You have to admit that, right? Like, I'm not one of these people. I'm not big about, making excuses for people's behavior at all. If you did something, you did it. Whatever reason why. But we also know it is a fact that without that, you would not be in those situations. You would never, what's become really big, I think, here, and I this is something I never saw. This is, like I was saying in our last one, I knew people that were addicted to meth. I didn't know people, I didn't know anything about heroin, any of that kind of stuff. Opioid, I didn't know about that. But I never knew anybody who, sold their body for drugs. I just never knew that. That wasn't something I ever saw before. But that's really big right now.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point, I know people who are doing that. And I don't believe they would do that otherwise,
No.
I don't think that is something, and I'm not, whatever people do is their business. Okay. But what I'm saying is that does put you in a position of doing something that I don't believe you would do. I don't think these, they make enough money sleeping with people to get their next fix and to stay in some kind of dodgy hotel for a night. And they don't live anywhere. They just, I know somebody who really just carries around a backpack of their things. And when their family want to find them, they go to a certain corner and wait around in that area to see if they'll see them. And making sure they have plenty of Narcan on them. So if and when, right? And it's so sad because, that person is not, with a family, having a husband and children and living the dream, right? That's not happening.
Yeah, it's just a sad life. And that's what I said, like, about my ex-husband. I mean, he ended up alone, literally alone.
Right.
Because he pretty much pushed everybody away. I mean, he had great friends. And I remember one time him calling me. We lived in Michigan then, but at like 3:00 in the morning, because his friend was letting him stay with them, and he got too messed up and punched his friend in the face, and his friend called the cops. And he called me at like 3 in the morning and said, "Can you come and get me?" Well, he had nowhere to go. So my husband said, well, he can just stay here for a few weeks until he can find a place. Yeah. My husband's a great man. And so I did. He went with me. We picked him up and brought him back. But after about a week, my daughter was like, please make him leave. So we found somewhere else for him to go. But I mean, we tried to help, and I was the ex-wife. I mean, my own husband tried to help him, and he didn't want it. And unfortunately, you can't push somebody to get the help if they don't want it.
Yep. That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if they don't, what I realized, and I can even remember one time even telling my sister, I want this for you more than you want it. And it took me years to understand me wanting that was not, and that doesn't work.
No.
I can, you always think, okay, this new job, moving, all these things, okay, everything's going to be better. It's going to be better. It's not, not until you make that decision yourself. And that's why I even think so much of the court mandated rehab and stuff. In reality, I know rehab is good for a lot of people. I've always been of the thing that if you want to stop, you'll stop. You don't need all this horse shit, because people are in and out of rehab because they have to go, or because their family, they're going to do it to appease their family or something. If you don't want to stop, then you're not going to. And to me, if you want to stop, then you will figure it out. I do know you need there are medical things you really do.
I was just going to say, I get the part of like the mandated and your family pushing you to go. That will not. I am a big believer in that. You have to want to change. I mean, that's with anything, with quitting smoking, with anything. Like, you have to want it. But in some instances, like, depending on how long you've used, what you've used, coming off of it, you can have seizures and all of that. So a lot of times going into a rehab, they can give you medications to help with that. You have medical care if, right there if need be. But I do agree with you on if you're pushed to do it, it's not going to work. And I do agree with that too. I agree with anything. You have to want it in order to change.
Yeah, and you do need to be monitored if you just to go off of alcohol, anything really. Your body will not react well to that. No, so I'm not trying to, advocate anything like that. That can be very serious, and that can be when how many times have you heard it's like, okay, just as soon as you get your shit together,
yes, yeah.
So that is scary. I get that. But I'm just a firm believer in it's going to be whenever you want it, and not any sooner. And
No, I agree with you so much because, like I said, even quitting smoking cigarettes. Do you know how many years people are on my butt about quitting cigarettes? And I'm like, yeah, okay. It would honestly make me go outside and have a cigarette right then and there because they'd stress me out. But really, like
right,
I had to want to quit smoking a cigarette. You know what I mean? Like it had to be me who was like, okay, I don't like the smell of this anymore on my clothes and and it was me who had to choose that, nobody else. So I totally get it. And that's why people like say, "Well, is your husband going to quit?" I'm like, "Probably not." And I'm not telling him to ever. You know what I
right.
mean? Like he could that's on him if he wants to because he won't unless he wants to and he doesn't want to, so he'll never quit. But
Well, that's I always say, I want to want to.
you're right.
What do you do, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody has some kind of an, everybody has something that you struggle with, that you know,
Mhm.
whatever it is. But a lot of it, obviously, like I've told you guys how I was addicted to ice for a long time, because I
Yes.
was so
Yeah.
anemic. I
Yeah.
didn't actually even realize that was why. I didn't care why. But it was almost debilitating in some ways because everything I was going to do, I had to try to figure out how I would have ice. Um,
Mhm.
so that didn't cause me to, mortgage the house and shit, but it was a thing. It was a thing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And it was actually just more embarrassing. I'd be like, "What are you talking about? I'm not eating ice. I don't know what you mean." Like,
I need to
and
drink
then,
water.
I'm like, "Just mind your own business. So what? It's not your ice. It's mine. I'm buying it myself. Um, you know,
I'm paying a
don't worry
dollar
about it."
myself at the store, my bag of ice.
But no, I mean, we just tend to have things that we
Yeah.
get like that with. And it just is scary because, once you get on it, and then like you've said, though, the things that are laced and you're not even taking what you think you're taking.
And nowadays, almost everything. I mean, even marijuana, which was like the safest thing. And I don't think I made this clear in our last video either. I personally don't really consider marijuana like a drug. I mean, I know it is considered a drug, but I also know that it helped so many people with medical conditions, cancer, side effects from chemo, pain, you name it, and keeping them off of the harder, pills and medications, which no medication is good for our liver, our kidney, you know what I mean? So to
To
me
just
that
live
is
on.
like a healthier way. Obviously anything can be abused, and probably overdone, but I personally have never really considered that like a drug, like a hard drug that you're not going to be able to get off of. I know people who have smoked for years and years and years who just stopped one day. They didn't go through withdrawal or. So I did want to read a couple of the other responses. Here is
Yes, yes.
one. When my brother was going through a heavy addiction with heroin, I was afraid every time the phone rang because I didn't want to get that call. Sadly, he lost his
Mhm.
battle in 2014. Sorry for your loss, first of all.
Yes, I'm very sorry.
I think that is the call we're all afraid to get when we
Mhm.
have a loved one who's going through it. And I did want to share my husband and he has a friend that he grew up with, and his brother a few years ago got hooked on heroin pretty bad. And they moved him back in with the mom, got him treatment. He got a job. He was doing really good. He was young in his 20s. And the he was supposed to be up for work same time every morning and he wasn't up, and his stepdad went in the room to wake him and he found him with a needle in his arm, dead, in his 20s, very young. And, you know, it's so sad. And, you know, a lot of times what happens is they use and use and use, and their tolerance gets higher and higher, you know, and then they stop using and they go and give themselves the same amount that they gave themselves the last time they used, but they don't have that tolerance and they OD.
Okay.
And it happens so much is they get clean, they fall off, you know, after not using for so long, and they go to use, you know, that one more time, and sadly they overdose. It's just
so scary.
It's very sad. And, you know, here's something too, and I hope they don't mind me sharing, but I don't think they will. My husband's cousin was young, and we didn't talk about this, and it probably isn't even talked about that much, but whippets. Do you know what whippets with the whipped cream bottles they used to do?
I don't really understand. I don't understand.
There's like a gas in the bottle, I think, and that's how.
Right. No, there is.
I probably should have looked into it, but he was home alone. His parents weren't home, and he was on the couch, I believe, doing the whippets to get high, and put a bag over his head, because that's how you get high, I guess. That's how and he passed out, and he suffocated because of the bag over his head.
Oh my God.
Yes. We've had a lot of deaths between my husband and I due to drugs. And that's why I was saying, like, I feel like last week we didn't really touch on like our personal, and you too, you know, our personal. And then when I got a lot of feedback, it made me start thinking, well, like the heroin with her brother, I dealt with that. You know what I mean? It made me start really thinking about my own situations. And I just thought, well, maybe we could get a little more personal and share our own experiences, you know, with it, and how it's affected us and our families and all of that.
Yeah. And see, like you said, you know, the unintended consequences to some of this stuff like that. I've heard of whippets, but I don't know how you do that. And I'm not trying to teach anybody or learn even really, right. But look at that. Like how, and I knew of somebody who was, got up on the roof and was, sniffing paint. I think that's what they were doing. And
oh my God.
rolled off and died rolled off into the pool and drowned.
Oh my gosh.
See, like this is stuff that, you know, even if it seems like, you know, maybe it's not, I don't know. But, you know, it's not fentanyl. It's not this and that. Other things, they're just things that can happen that you just don't even realize would happen.
Yeah.
And it's so, you just think, oh my God, how crazy. And sadly, really what we don't think enough about is, that there's enough in this world. We have cancer. We have got, you know, obesity. We have a lot of things. Nobody eats healthy. Nobody, I mean, there's so many things that can happen that we're not out there looking for. You know, why do we insist on having something that we don't have to have?
Right.
You know, that's going to do this, that's going to cause these, you know, even just the disruption in the family unit, you know, like you said. And this is what we said last time. Everybody's affected in one way or another. There's nobody who hasn't been affected. And there's, you know, there's always that person that's not there at Christmas, or that, you know, again, everybody waiting for that call in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
But there's enough going on in the world that's enough to struggle with.
Yeah.
There's enough struggles. I mean, that's just an added thing. We don't need it.
No. And when, and when they're using, they're not thinking about, all of the people they're
Right.
affecting, and they're just
They're
thinking
not. They're
about that
not.
next fix. Sadly, it's not until
That's
they
exactly
get
right.
sober that they realize all of the people that they've hurt, and themselves that they hurt.
Well, and they don't see it. They don't see what they're themselves. They don't see what we see.
Right.
They really don't. You know what is so crazy? Since my sister's been clean, I know one day her and I were in Walmart and we walked by this woman and my sister goes, "Oh my God, crackheads drive me crazy." She goes, I go, "You think?" Yeah, I know. Because, they're just all over the place and all. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my God, I go, "I know. That's what you used to be. Drive us nuts too, acting like that,
Thank God got
but they
clean.
always think, like, "Oh, you're just being so rude." No, you don't see yourself. And it's
Right.
crazy how she tells me now, she's like, "I cannot even believe it." She goes, "Because those people, I can't stand to be around them." Go, yeah, I'm glad you feel that way now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see what everybody was seeing.
Yeah. I'm so happy for her kids, for her grandkids, for all of you, and for me, because I absolutely love her. I didn't know her back then,
Right?
but I only know her now. But yeah, I'm so happy for everybody. And she really is such a good, what do they call her? Granny?
Yeah, Granny.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
is. She is so good. And she loves those kids so much. And they just love her.
they
So
do. And they're awesome.
So
Yeah,
that's a happy ending,
very
and
much.
maybe we
Very
should leave
much.
it on the happy ending of the video. But I did want to share again, if you need help, you have family or friends or someone you love who is in active addiction and you need help, you want, a group that you can join that can help you through it. There is Nar Anon family groups, and the phone number is 1-800-477-6291. So I wanted to share that again.
Okay, and we'll put it in the description. And who knows? Let us know. Did you actually read all the ones that you had?
I didn't, but I did want to say, I did get a lot of feedback. And so maybe if you guys are interested, maybe we do a live on this and people can come and share their stories if they feel comfortable. Maybe give us feedback on that in the comments. You can always email us anonymously too. But I was thinking maybe we do something like that because it has affected so many people and we did get so much feedback on this one. Maybe people would like to talk about it.
Right. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I knew you said you'd heard from quite a few.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. And almost you don't know somebody that hasn't been affected.
And that's the thing. So yeah, if you guys want us to maybe go live one day on this, share it, comment it. If you want to share your stories, that would be great. We would love that because,
yes,
like Jen said, everybody has been affected by this in one way or another.
And congratulations on anybody who is in recovery, and God bless you, and
yes,
very happy for you on that. I do want to mention really quick, Queen and I have been working on a border crisis series. We did a live, and we have an episode that's getting ready to come out. I don't know exactly when. We haven't scheduled it yet. It's done. And then we're working on more. So we're going to have a whole series on that. just to let you know, it's separate from our regular Wednesday episodes, but you really want to check that out. It's very, very important. Human trafficking, and and the result of the border crisis.
And it's happening everywhere, not just here.
Right.
So obviously we're covering a lot in Arizona, but it is happening everywhere. Check out our shorts too, because we do have some shorts on it too. But yeah, we're going to do it on a separate day. We'll probably figure out today what we're going to do with that, but it will be separate from our Wednesday videos that get dropped. So you're going to see a lot more of us.
Yeah. And I know the episode we're getting ready to drop has some pretty shocking things in it.
Be prepared.
Trigger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, check that out if you would, and share it. Talk to everybody about that, because that is such an important, it's
so important.
We have to do something. So anyway, thank you so much for all the engagement with this.
Yes. Yeah.
And it really did, spur us on to go further with it. And we're willing to go even further.
Yeah.
Because
I'm sorry that so many people are affected, but the reality is we are. So we don't mind talking about it more.
Not at all. Not at all. No, we appreciate the engagement very much. So, okay, well, we will see you again next week, and if not sooner. Yeah. And thank you so much for being here.
See you on the next one.
Bye.
To the end, yeah, you're really one of us now, laughing through the chaos, hanging for the last, wow. Thanks for watching, that's what she said. Hey, hit the like, share, and subscribe to your new besties, your new besties. Thanks for watching, that's what she said. Oh, stick around, ring the bell, you belong with your new besties. Drop a comment, tell a friend you know you want to replay. Same time, same place, we'll be back to make